Is Shadowlands ready? Guys, is Shadowlands ready? No. Okay. There it is. Oh, got the music. Oh, time with friends, hanging out under the sunshine. Everybody just enjoying themselves. Oh, dude. Am I gonna get DMCA'd for this? I don't know. At this point, who knows?
After our most recent video, my Twitter feed has been nothing but, is it really gonna be ready, Mike?
Yeah, people are wondering about that. Everybody's wondering about that.
So, the last video we put out was what you should expect at endgame, but I also mentioned lots of things are still in flux, and it's hard to narrow anything down with the Shadowlands. Honestly, I've been testing World of Warcraft's expansions since the Burning Crusade. We've never had anything like what we have in the Shadowlands, which means a lot of us, including myself...
That's so cool to see that fucking picture, man. Like, I love seeing the old pictures and everything like that, the old videos that pre-Chaz, because it just reminds me of back whenever I played the game, man, back in the day. I never tanked Felmist, I only DPS'd it. Are
kind of guessing what's going to be happening. We've had this huge delay on the game.
Those were the good days, man.
We now have a date of when it's actually coming out, not ideal for many, and seems a little rushed in some people's minds. And
15 FPS, like that's how you know it's real.
They're still dramatically changing things. In fact, we've not been able to do our class looks at all because we personally just feel it's irresponsible because we know they're going to be out of date.
Yeah.
And I really feel for a lot of sites, especially Wowhead, who has been working their balls off to try and create Covenant tier lists with all of these top players who are testing this stuff constantly.
Man, they gotta fucking stop this shit. Like, this obviously clickbait. Like, it's obviously fucking clickbait. Like, top tier list, etc. Like, I hate this shit. Like, it's a tier list for 1 week. Like, just stop. Don't make a fucking tier list. Like, just simply go over and just say what it is. Like, we don't need to have a fucking tier list, dude.
And then having to revise them 1 or 2 days later because they've been changed again. In fact, our last video was made one day. The next day it was out of date as it was about to release and had to be redone, which is why you might have seen one version go up, then come back down while we edited it again in order to get things up to date.
Okay.
Now, this has put a lot of worry in some of your minds.
Yeah.
And that's totally understandable. However, is the game ready to release? What do we think? What is our best possible guess? It really depends by what you...
I bet what he's going to say is kinda. Like, I'm going to guess that the end result of this question is going to be kind of.
It really depends by... What are you specifically asking me when you ask that question?
What do you mean by is it ready? Yeah. Okay, that means it's not ready.
Is the game going to be working when it comes out? Yes. But I would imagine...
It's good.
For most of you, that's actually the bare minimum you expect. And that's where the twist kind of happens. The bare minimum you expect is that you should be able to play the game. You should be able to level. You should be able to check out all these new systems, and they should be functioning. And from what I can tell, that is absolutely the case. They have used this time wisely.
That's great.
For the most part, to work out a lot of these bugs. Are they finished? No, they're not. We're still seeing very strange things happen if you use the Threads of Fate to level a different way. We're not seeing the Renown come in there, but that
it's a little bit scuffed.
Server problem. People are getting duplicate items still from their Mythic Plus caches. All kinds of strange things are still happening, which are tweaks that can be done between now and release. But for the most part, you're not ending up like many of us have been over the course of the entire beta, which is just the game flat out stops. It stops people turning into chairs, all this kind of crazy stuff that we've been seeing when the game was supposed to be released. So it is, in my opinion, yeah, it's going to come out working. Now, if your expectations are a little higher than that, that's where things get a little bit... Certainly in terms of...
Uh-oh. We got the good news first. Now it's time for the bad news. All right, here we go, boys.
What many of you who watch my channel are probably interested in, such as class balance when choosing mains. Today we filmed a video, me and Fingal, because our main alts, and in fact main alts across a lot of the raid community are really in flux right now. In fact, for many of you who only play one character, your main is in flux. Typically we're talking about classes we enjoy, things we like to play. But the balance side, which many of you may have suspected...
Yeah, the game's fun to play, except that, you know, the class is fun to play, except if you, look at the damage meter, you're at the bottom, you're not having as much fun anymore. Right? Then you're kicked out of the raid. It's sad.
Was going to be worked out during this delay period.
Yeah.
No. Now, I would like to probably stress here, DPSs are not balanced. We're starting to see some really strange things like rogues just about DPSing above the tanks, some tanks out DPS.
Thank God. Thank God. Fuck them. Fuck them, man. I'm so glad this is going to happen. Like, this is amazing.
Several characters, we're starting to see I'll be honest with you guys, it's the healers that seem to be really, really wonky right now. No matter what healing combo we see, they're just all over the place. There's some healers which are... We're looking at maybe the death of the Holy Paladin right now, unless something happens. We're seeing Resto Shaman being stacked, like not one, but two, or maybe even three on some occasions.
Death of the Holy Paladin.
Struggling to keep up. Holy Priest doing okay. And then suddenly, with a flick of a switch at Blizzard's end, it flips over and it does something completely different. Are they relatively close to each other? No, that's the problem, okay? It's not about what, and I need to stress this, because I can show you some logs. I'll show you some logs right now of some stuff, but that's a little dangerous of me to do, because many of you are going to read that information too much, because as I say, it keeps changing.
This actually is a perfect DPS chart. I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial. I think Blizzard really nailed it. Shadowlands balance really nailed it. One concern, probably should have a few more arms warriors up at the top there, but it might just be because they're playing Fury. Overall, I think this is a very fair, very balanced chart. Guys, stop the balancing. Stop the balancing, guys. Everything's completely fine. It's totally good. Let's pause it right here. We look great. Stop the count. Yeah. Stop the balance.
So in terms of balance and things like that, know that the game's not ready, and it's not going to be. I mean,
surprise.
Maybe I'm pessimistic.
Big surprise.
I can't see that happening.
Would have never expected that.
They are still raid testing. We raid tested. Yes, they are still raid testing even after the game was supposed to be out. They are still raid testing to try and get things worked out. And they did in that testing period test out a DPS check boss, probably to see if we throw the best players at the world at it and let them go balls to the wall.
Yeah, what happens?
Target dummy. How are things looking? They did throw that in, despite the fight not changing too much. A little bit's changed here and there. But they're still trying to get some of the bosses to be fun and interesting. And I've got a really interesting video on that coming up soon. So please check that out, because it's interesting to see how Blizzard copes when a fight just isn't working. It's not fun, it's not interesting, and everybody seems to complain about it. What can we do with it?
Well, they just add those mechanics into all the rest of the fights in the future, and that way players just have to get used to it. Yeah, they just have to get used to it. Hey, you get used to it, man. You know that soaking mechanic that's been in the game ever since Cataclysm that you have to deal with in the exact same way? Yep, it's in the game now. Hey, just get ready. Deal with it.
Not bashing Blizzard, because not every idea is going to work out. But how they then deal with that, I find really cool.
Yeah.
Similar things are happening to PvP. It's going to be a weird time. It's going to be a weird time. And
see,
you might
that's
say,
the thing, dude, is like, I want to hear more about PvP. Like, that's what I want to play Shadowlands for, is for PvP, for world content, and just for fun, man. Like, collect mounts and shit.
You're right. We went through the start of 8.3. We went through the start of Wrath of the Lich King, where everybody was being mullered down by any old random overpowered class. And we'll probably see a lot of people who care about the competitive side of the scene swapping characters and mains, and you might see people playing things that they don't ordinarily play in a number of different ways, even if they're not their favorite classes and that kind of stuff. But I think you should relax. I do. I think you should relax on this. I'm not being as pessimistic as I am. I'm pessimistic and accepting the fact that it's going to be kind of like what we had before. We're going to have...
So he's on stage 5. Acceptance. On stage 5. That's good to know. It's great to know, Preach. Yeah, I'm also on stage 5. Listen, the Shadowlands is going to come out. Like, Blizzard is going to... They're going to bring this shit out, whether we like it or not, in this case. Like, that's the reality. They're going to bring it out, and if we like it or if we don't like it, it doesn't matter, because it's going to happen the way they want it to happen.
A lot of more systems this time around, and each of them presents its own problems. We knew this when it was announced. This isn't new information. This isn't something we should be surprised by or anything like that. They are attempting to make 5 different systems all at the same time when they haven't managed to get one right in the past. That's a fact. Don't shit on me. That's a fact. And it's going to be wonky. We're going to find, especially when the game hits the mainstream, a lot of combinations, just as we predicted, that are wildly, wildly out with another.
Big surprise.
What I can say is, for the most part, the Covenants have gotten better, but mainly because they got nerfed, so they're less and less relevant, which is...
That's how to balance the Covenants. Just make them shitty. Make them suck. Nobody wants to use the button. The button sucks. Nobody gonna use it. Don't have to balance it. Problem solved. No balance problems. Boom. There it is. It's the same way they saw balance in Wrath of the Lich King. Everybody can one-shot everybody, so who gives a fuck what class you play? You just hit your button and they're almost half health in one hit anyway. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a great way of doing things.
sad. It's really sad to see the system go that way. It was the only inevitable way it would go if they did lock us into covenants. Yep. And it does make us all sad. It's like, okay, some of them aren't even worth casting. Others still have massive DPS disparities, but for the most part, they've been squashed down. So you can technically pick whatever you want. It's just not as fun anymore. That's a bit of a shame. Similar with the Soulbinds, they've flipped around. They've made them better, but their effects are still not, you know, in line with each other, especially across the breadth of all the Soulbinds in the game. Conduits are less such of an issue. Legendaries are still going to form into the same Legion boat, which is that some are going to be really good, some are going to be absolutely useless, and
that's fine. If they're useless, it doesn't matter, because you get to decide which ones you get and which ones you use. Like, I think the legendaries, here's the thing, is that there were actually very few legendaries in Legion that were genuinely useless. They were just useful. Like, whenever people say useless, what they mean is this does not provide you a tangible damage increase inside of a competitive situation. Because, like, for example, like, people thought Prydaz was trash for the longest time, or Agamar's Stride was trash, but it's great for farming. It was super fun for farming. So just because something doesn't give you a tangible numerical advantage inside of a raid or a dungeon or maybe PvP doesn't necessarily mean that it's a trash legendary. It just means that it's doing something different. And I'm okay with that.
Probably want to collect those recipes so you don't waste Stygia on them when you head to the Maw. Speaking of the Maw, not much happened there. They were revamping it, but either they ran out of time, and hopefully they're not going to really ram it down our throats to farm that whole thing. I know I sound negative, these are all little things. And this has been the big issue with people getting down on the Shadowlands, because the Shadowlands is still way fucking better than BFA. It's way, way better than BFA. I'm hyped for the Shadowlands. I'm looking forward to playing all the classes in the Shadowlands, all of them. I want you to compare that to the BFA video, where I didn't want to play anything. They all sucked. We're totally on the opposite end of the spectrum. Are there little...
That's the same way I feel about Shadowlands too. Like, I'm fucking pissed off about the shit they're doing with Covenants and Conduits. I think it's fucking stupid. But, like, at the end of the day, I'm going to level up 4 characters. I'm going to do all the Covenant quest lines, man. Like, I even did that with all the classes. Like, I hope they make a feat of strength to, like, have to complete everything for all the Covenants. I think that'd be cool, where it gives you, like, a title or something like that. Like, having those capstone achievements and stuff like that, I think is actually really good for, like, casual players. That'd be cool. Just 4? I mean, like, I don't know. Like, chill out, Preach. Well, it's good to see him excited, man. I mean, it's certainly better than, like, fucking BFA. I feel like nobody... Like, I was excited for BFA, but, like, I thought it was just going to be so much different than what it was. Like, I thought it was going to be, like, a PvP-focused expansion, and there'd be, like, these new fucking battle zones in Arathi Highlands, and you'd go there, and there'd be, like, Horde there, and you got fucking fight the Horde. There's, like, these world PvP objectives, and then you get honor from killing the Horde. You buy fucking gear, dude, and you get a weapon, man, and it's going to be so cool. And, you know, it didn't happen. So in Shadowlands, I mean, you know, I can't really see it being that much worse.
Issues here and there. Yeah, are we going to be fine? Yes, absolutely. We're going to be totally fine, because this is all stuff we've lived through pretty much every single patch. It's going to be an ongoing process. They've run out of time. They're doing their best with it. They've reduced the scale of the potential overwhelming outcomes. So a lot of the things that, like, we were seeing, you know, 40% disparities between just one of these elements. We're still seeing those levels of disparity if you mix everything together. Great. But they have crushed everything down, so it's going to be less of an issue.
So it's only a 40% combined disparity rather than 40% from just one disparity. Oh, great. That's how reassuring.
One thing I really hope is people are going to be capping. They're going to be deciding on a covenant. They're going
Just get it out of the way now, guys. Come on. Come on.
Going to be committing to that character and start farming renown and doing all those kinds of things. Not everybody can play alts. Not everybody can just catch up like I can. I could just catch up if I want to. Not everybody can do that. They have a day life and they have a working life. And if the classes are really all over the place, so if you suddenly pick a class and it's absolute dog, for whatever reason, you're going to feel exactly like you did when the artifact weapons got changed.
You're fucked.
Like, I've wasted my time. That's my biggest fear right now. Will the game be working?
That's what I'm worried about too, right? Is like if they do a nerf like that and then somebody's class sucks and then they stop playing because their class sucks. Like, I feel like that would be the worst possible outcome. That's what I'm really worried about, because I feel like it's super harmful for players for that to happen. Is like, what if your class gets nerfed and then you stop playing? Because, like, that's happened to me in other games where, like, I was really good doing one thing and then they nerfed that one thing and then I stopped playing it. It sucks, man.
Yes, and I think we can all relax having that knowledge. I think we're in a pretty good shape, honestly. Shadowlands is still shaping up to be, like I said, so much better than the launch of BFA.
Yeah.
So much better. And for the most part, I actually expect that nearly everybody watching this right now is going to spend the first month of the Shadowlands, if you're even considering buying the Shadowlands and you're on the fence because of covenants and things like that, guys, they've put so much content into the Shadowlands that if you want to explore everything, just to check it out, even if you're not going to fall in love with it and farm it, if you just want to check it out, you have content for ages.
Great.
There's so much content there, and most of it is optional, which we talked about yesterday.
Fuck yeah.
You've got so much stuff to
That's
check
awesome.
out. I want to spend some time at Torghast.
That's good.
I want to spend some time doing my weekly event. I want to spend some time doing my Sanctum. I want to spend some time with the campaign. I want to spend some time in the mall. All these things are all optional to go and check out and just spend time with and have fun with it. You're good. And so far, it looks like they have managed to root out all those major problems. So chill, relax. It's going to be fine. Thank you very much for listening, guys. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Let's see what people say about this. It's so funny that many people have the similar thought, train of thought, which is like all these little problems, but it's still better than BFA by a mile. Well, that's the thing, right? It's like people know that BFA, I think that's right. Like people are just happy that BFA is over, and all the rest of the stuff it doesn't really fucking matter for. Like they're just happy that BFA is gone, man. Is it ready? Long story short, by 2020 game standards, yes. Yeah, that's one thing you have to understand. Like a game, whenever a game gets released, it's not done. It's just released. That's just whenever you pay money for it. Now, it gets finished maybe 6 months after the release. Now, that's just, it's the way it goes. I found hilarious. First clip was bugged as fuck ad. It's been bugged slightly differently for me every time. Kid in preschool. The square peg goes into square hole. The round peg goes in a round hole. Blizzard. The square peg will go in a round hole if we adjust the peg and the hole. Actually, if we just make a hole big enough, we can fit all the pegs in there at once. No, wait, Eureka, I've got it. It's all about perception and how we perceive things. What is a peg? Does it have to be on a board? You there, pass me a bin. No, wait, fetch me a bathtub and a bag of oranges. Yeah, it's about right. Yep, that is real and true. That is 100% real and true. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess you bored your raid friends because your pally spit in my ass. Yeah, probably. When you push the release date back, I can't even recall thinking they'll get class balance even close to being okay. Yeah, but it's gonna be closer to being okay than it was. That was kind of like my thinking, at least. I want to point out again that we still have not been able to do any PvP testing on the beta yet. PvP is treated worse than battle pets since BFA. I gotta take a piss.